He said Andy won. We drew. Oh,
Good evening. You're watching and listening to another Scoutcast from www.fantasyfootballscout.co.uk, and my name is Mark.
My name is Granville.
My name is John T.
There we go. There we go. Evening, Granville. Thank you for joining us. Just an explanation. We're starting early, kicking off early, so to speak, because Granville's a bit poorly and needs to get to his sick bed. So we wanted him on. We must battle on through thick and thin. So we started early, kicked off early, so Granville can get to bed. So we're going to rattle through this. Granville wanted to be here because he came top of the game week, so he didn't want to miss this one. So we'll start, John T, by letting Granville have his moment of fame there with his 49 points, shall we? Granville, talk us through the game week.
Wow, amazing, 49 points. You know what? I looked at my game week ranking. It was only about 900,000, so it wasn't that good, really.
No, mine was 1.8 million or something like that, and I got the average. So yeah, it wasn't. A lot of people did very well, didn't they? Obviously, nowhere near us. Though I don't know how the veterans did, but you took a 4-point hit though, Granville.
I did, and I'm having to do that. I did that for Lallana. I did it last minute because I was waiting on news from Cazorla, and I felt that he wasn't. If he did play, he wasn't going to get points anyway, and I've had enough of him, so I swapped him for Lallana. It was a wrong move this week, because the other Liverpool midfielders did okay. But I think in the long term, I think Lallana's really good value.
And Balassi came in for you as well. Another one you get patience with.
Yeah. Well, I've had a couple of assists off him, but I did say I was worried about his goal output. And he managed to get one, and he actually, what made it more satisfying is that he nicked it off Lukaku.
He literally did. It was like one of those penalties where he wrestled the ball off. It was like Morales and Baines all over again. Like Lukaku was running through, and I was watching it live. I was going, "Oh, hello, oh, what are you doing?" And he just let him have it, didn't he? Good finish though. And I noticed Koeman did say he wants 10 goals from Balassi. If that happens, that's 6 million. You got yourself a bargain. So we need to consider him maybe, and you got Payet in who's doing all right for you, isn't he?
Yeah, well, that was it, and you know what? It's just this is fantasy football, isn't it? It was like he scored in the last few seconds. Who was it? Scored Reed, and I had no idea that Payet. I wasn't at home. I had no idea that Payet got the assist. Fortunate because it was so late on. But then again, if you watched the game, Payet was all over. I mean, I think he hit the post. He was. He's the best midfielder in the league for me. Maybe De Bruyne is up there and Ozil, but Sanchez, although I wouldn't consider Sanchez a midfielder at the minute. But Payet is just magnificent.
I noticed he's now got 30 chances created. So even though he missed the first 3 and a bit game weeks, I think he started game week 4. He's already created more chances than any other midfielder now, which is even more than Jason Punch and John T, which is incredible, isn't it?
Wow, I know. Someone's better than Jason Punch, and I can't believe it.
I cannot believe it. Should we move to John T's game week then? Because we're going to enjoy this a bit, Granville, aren't we? Because it was miserable again. It hasn't got any better for you, but you have done the surgery. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, I've committed some surgery. So basically, Ibrahimovic and Antonio out. That was a good move financially, and also points-wise. They were both as they've ever been for the last few game weeks, and they lost a lot of value, particularly Antonio. I got in Lukaku, who Balassi stole the ball off, and I got Walcott in. So I've got 2 players I'm very happy with. Unfortunately, didn't get much this particular game week, but it's nice to get the points in, but I mean that was one of those game weeks. A lot of the big players didn't really perform.
So you've done something that I would have never have done, probably to my detriment, because you are very good at going, okay, I've made a mistake here. I'm not going to try and be different though. I'm just going to get the right players. Whereas what I would have done in your position, probably, I would have gone, oh no, I'm going to be really clever. Let me go and get Tadic. Let me go and get Austin. I would have just got completely differentials in order to try and make up that ground.
That's whenever, because we've been doing this a long time. I think this is my 9th season now. Over the 38 game weeks, the people that get the differentials all the time will always finish with a poorer rank than those that get. We know this. Then the players that score well, statement. and Mavericks occasionally do well, and that will be someone like, say, Andy, who was at the top of our moderators and contributors league last year, because he's a Leicester fan. Now, he got on Leicester really early when they were differentials. I think we worked out that people who captained Mahrez, which he did in game week 1, was something like 0.005% of FPL managers. He was the most differential you could get, literally hundreds. out of
But
the 3
I know what you're saying, but obviously
but
this
that can
season's the
happen. It can
Maverick
happen.
season.
But he wasn't. But ultimately, he wasn't a Maverick for the rest of the season because Leicester he hung on to, and Leicester kept performing.
Yeah.
So ultimately, he didn't think, oh, Mahrez is doing really well, Vardy's doing really well. I think I'll just dump them for Jason Punchin or whatever. He wasn't doing that. And so ultimately, over the 38 game weeks, with me, I'm in new territory, which is why I find it quite. People still think I'm putting a brave face in it, but I'm actually finding it quite exciting. I'm in new territory. I've got to do things I've never done before. I've never got to this stage before. I've never had to keep chasing hits. I've got to keep getting hits to keep up and try something different. I've got to do all these.
It's fascinating watching you having to do this because it is very difficult.
Yeah.
Granville, you got some views on this. I know you're itching, even though you're full of cold. You can't wait to get in on this.
You want me to say what you'd rather say.
No, I know what I want you to say.
What I'm saying, I've said it to Johnson before that he's been about a week behind on all these transfers this year for some reason.
But that is what he does better than me. Is that he doesn't care about that. He'll still get the right players.
I think this season might be different, though. I don't know. I mean, for a start, Andy is actually bottom of the Contributors League, whereas this time last year he was way top. Yeah. So that just shows you. I mean, it's just up and down. I think maybe just finding it's a down season at the minute. I mean, I know you did Walcott this week, but I have a feeling that Walcott's going to go off the boil because he started last game week. First half, he was on fire, scored a couple of goals, and then the second half, he missed about 2 or 3 clear-cut chances, and since then he hasn't done anything. So maybe it's actually the wrong time to get Walcott.
I think because I've got Walcott and Sanchez. Long term, I'm not looking to have both. It's whichever one doesn't perform, I can move out. It's an age-old tactic that I've done many times before. Double up, ditch the one that doesn't perform. So whether that be Sanchez or Walcott, I don't know. The thing with Walcott as well, Walcott is being used. Arsenal this season, Gunners fans will notice they're kind of slightly harking back to the same system that they had with back in the Henri Bergkamp days. And basically, Walcott is in a kind of Freddie Ljungberg type role. He's coming in on the right. He's ending up in a kind of a striker position. And then Bergkamp is that kind of Sanchez-y type role. And then Özil's in there as well. They're all mixing up. It's all quite fluid. But what is tend to be happening is that Walcott is ending up being the kind of striker. And what's happened this season recently, Middlesbrough are very good at dealing with strikers. They're less good with midfielders.
Apart from their own strikers, of course.
But apart from their own strikers. But the other thing that's happened with Middlesbrough as well, they've tightened up. They have got... Mark, I think Paul, but I think it was definitely Mark in the Scout Squad picks on the site 2 or 3 weeks ago, put George Friend in. I spat my tea out in disgust having George Friend in there. George Friend ends up with 2 bonus points. And then I'm having a look at the stats since then. Good call. Because Middlesbrough's big chances, they're not conceding much. So Walcott may have fluffed his lines, but Middlesbrough did a number on him.
See, I think Sanchez is more likely to go than Walcott. Same for me.
I agree.
Price, that's down to the price, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it is down to price and also the value.
What you could find again, and like you did last season, is that Özil will step up and he'll start getting the points. I don't think you can predict who's going to get the points. Each game. There's so many of them.
Well, that's the other.
Liverpool midfielders, you can't really predict. It can be spread about.
We've mentioned it this season already. One thing that's marked this out, the abundance of choice, absolutely full of it. But the other thing is very different last season. Last season was form stayed. So you get Mahrez in, just keep him 10, 20 weeks. He'll score every week.
That kind of played into your hands, isn't it, the way you like to play.
Yeah. And then what's happening this season, you get Özil in, nothing. Move him out, he scores. Get Firmino, Coutinho. I mean, you could do the hokey-cokey with the Liverpool midfielders all season. You just got to stick with one. Or, as I might do, I might double up. I don't know. I've got Lallana.
Okay.
Which you haven't done.
Let's look at Rough or the Smooth because we've got to get Granville to bed, haven't we? So otherwise he'll just, what he's like. He'll just walk off, get his Horlicks, and he'll be gone. And so we better crack on. Jonty, have you got some Rough or the Smooth for us?
I have. There's a chap here, Villaronka. I don't know if you've heard of him. He's top of Hall of Fame. He didn't submit this in. I just happened to notice his.
So top of the Hall of Fame means he's possibly the best or one of the best FPL managers.
As far as we know, we think he's the best, most consistent FPL manager of all time.
Well, in the Fantasy Football Scout League, for sure.
Well, we don't know. I mean, I would like to think that if anyone out there was better, they would have joined our league. So, yes. But Villaronka, he got 37. So he had a pretty dire week as well. And with my score as well, pretty low, and he's not alone really. So there's other ones. Hasselbank Forever, another one of our regulars. He got 33, benched Holibas. Now Red Lightning, he's one of our moderators on the site. He got 47, not too bad. You think he actually took a 20-point hit?
What did he?
See, but basically what's happening now? I'm in this position. I'm starting all the people who are like me, who are like falling down the rankings, not quite sure what to do, all kind of coming together, as it were. So he's similar to me now. So his way was to do a 20-point hit. Now his team now is in great shape. He actually got pretty much similar score to me in the end, but he spent 20 points to get it, and he has done really well. And he's got loads of good players in place now, lots of nice premium defenders. And Kick It is another one of my 1 million club. 1 million ranking club. He went from 70,000th in the world game week 3. He's down to 1.3 million.
I like the way you've formed this support group around you. That's a cunning tactic.
It's absolutely ridiculous how it was. Now, I got contacted by someone called Jason Jones. Who is he, you ask? He used to be the former British #1 junior tennis player. He's now a tennis commentator. He has attempted to start. I haven't seen that much action. He has tried to start on Twitter a hashtag SOS for Dullard in my honour. Another guy, a guy from Texas called Joe Morgan. He's like giving me advice like success is measured by how you handle disappointment along the way, and it's quite something really.
Oh, hold on.
So I've got my daughter here.
Carry on, Jonty.
No, well, I was going to say, what it is it's drawing out people in terms of people who are in my position, but it's also drawing out people in terms of. I thought someone had died last week, the way I was being contacted by some people. And it was like, I'm so sorry for your loss, in brackets, or Firmino's points.
The thing is, I think Granville was in a worse state last year. I think it's just the shock at seeing you in this situation.
Well, I think that's
you're
it.
normally very good at managing.
Well, that's it.
You normally are moderate, but you never get to this point.
Well, as a journalist, one of the first things you learn in journalists is man bites dog is a story, because it's unusual. So for me, he's had, four or 5 seasons of top 5,000 finishes on the trot, suddenly like this. With Granville, obviously, he hasn't been anywhere near that for about 7 years. So for him to have that season, it's kind of dog bites man. So it's not as interesting. So I do recognise that what's happening to me is interesting. So
yeah, well, it's going to be fascinating to watch that. Did we get any smooths there? Did anyone have a good game week? I mean,
well, there were a few, but there weren't that many actually. Henry Hill, I liked him. He drafted in Shaqiri. Now I did that in FanDuel, but you can switch your team every week in that. But he did it in FPL, so hats off to him. He completely nailed the Shaqiri move.
I find that incredible, because even if you were looking at a Stoke midfielder, you'd go Allen, then an Arnautovic, and then or maybe an Arnautovic and Allen, and then Shaqiri. But
I believe he scored 3 goals last season. Played a lot as well. And just a quick mention, Rossonero, he doubled up on Firmino and Mane. So he nailed the 2 Liverpool mids who score in the right week.
Well, Coutinho's not in there, is he? Coutinho's one I'm looking at again now. I hate to admit it. I know he's following the herd, but I'm finding it very difficult. We're going to talk about Liverpool later on, but the main crux, the main point of the community questions that have come out, not surprisingly, is about dear old Sergio Aguero, someone dear to my heart, someone who, obviously I had an issue with last season for 3 or 4 game weeks, and lo and behold, there's lots of questions on this. A lot of people are getting rid already. I think he's lost about 30,000 ownership in the last 24 hours. He's in decline for the first time.
Yeah, well, there's lots of questions there. So I'll read out a few of the questions, all on the same theme. Some are negative, some are positive. So Supersonic asks, is Aguero still essential? Kings of Leon, should we not have faith in big hitters like Aguero? Differentiator, who I don't know, Mark might bring up in a moment because he put a very good post up today on site. He taking out Aguero, foolish move or smart thinking? Hurricane Gilbert, if you're taking Aguero out, what is the strategy? So that's a really good question, because what do you do? Because you can't just take him out and think doing everything's going to be fine. You've got to have a plan. And shakalaka boom boom, is it time to drop a 13.1 million player?
Very good point. You won't captain. Very good point. Granville, you got a view on this already, have you?
Well, last week you were saying that you were worried about him because of what Pep came out and said something about his confidence.
I'm glad you brought that up.
And I just went, you're just being worried about nothing. Yeah. And then he got dropped against Barcelona. And that's the first time in quite a few years I've actually doubted him.
I thought you were going to say that's the first time in quite a few years you thought I was right. I thought that's what you were going to say then. But
yeah, well, that as well. That I've doubted that he's going to be playing week in, week out. I don't know. And he's playing. They've got the other Barcelona game coming up. I don't know whether he's good. I don't know whether you can bank on him playing. I'm sure you can bank. You know, if he plays, then he's going to score goals. I'm sure. I know he when Iheanacho came on at the weekend, he was pushed back into almost midfield role briefly. You know, for the time that he was on, but you know, City was struggling to make chances. So yeah, I mean, for the first time in a long time, I'm concerned about him. Now, does that mean that I'm going to drop him, sell him? No, it doesn't at all, because you know he can look really foolish with Aguero. Like mentioned about last year.
I brought it up myself. You can, yeah, he can really hurt you. We know that, right? So, for you though, Granville, then, so if he's on the pitch, you keep him. Your only issue is you've got a little bit of doubt now whether he's going to be on the pitch as regularly. Is that the case?
Yeah, I think so, and I think it might be one that if you look at the particularly Champions League, and if they're still in the cups and stuff, you know, later on in the season, you might consider, you know, moving him out, you know, for a couple of games and then bringing him back in if you doubt that he's going to start, because it's a hefty outlay, really, 13 million, and sticking him on the bench. And I did it for 2 games, didn't I, early in the season when he got suspended. And I think that was actually probably a mistake in the end, because a lot of the players that he got in place of him, such as Lukaku and Iheanacho, did the business.
Yeah, so I know you were talking up Iheanacho, weren't you, at the time?
Yeah, and they did the business, and I kept him. Maybe it was a mistake, I don't know. But so
what's extraordinary is Iheanacho's just 4 points behind him.
Yeah, I know. And I'm sure we're going to mention him later when it comes to the Fancy Island risks. But well, I am anyway. But I think he's a good shot. But the other player that I'm looking at, I keep looking at him, is De Bruyne. Now I don't know what it is with his. He took another knock at the weekend when Romeo clattered into him. And maybe he's a little bit fragile. I'm not sure. But you know, when he's fully fit, I think it's worth having him. Yeah. And if you do want a replacement for Aguero, don't need to look any further than De Bruyne. I think he's good cover.
Okay, John T, you've probably got some stats on this Aguero issue.
Well, let's look at. Right, first 3 game weeks, he was sensational. Scored. He was averaging a goal a game. Last 3 game weeks, absolutely appalling. He's averaging an FPL point a game. So I had a look at that. What's changed? So Guardiola has moved him. He's changed him. He has got him to do other things, and Aguero is not adjusting very well to it, and that's what's happening. So the question is, will he adjust well to it, or won't he? So what's happening? So goal attempts, he's averaging 4 a game at the moment. That's pretty good. He was averaging 5 when he was sensational at the start, so that's okay. Problem here is they're not on target. They're not in the box. So he's being asked to shoot from range more. He's being in midfield. 2.7 on average in the box last 3 games. 4.3. So virtually all of his shots were in the box before. Crossing, through balls, chances created, passing, all down on the last 3 matches. He's being asked to do those things. He's being asked to move into those roles by Guardiola. He's failing at them. So he's being a really good striker, is being asked to be a midfielder, and he's becoming quite a bad midfielder. Yeah. He's not a good midfielder. I had a look but there's hope. There's hope, though. I just wanted to add, there is hope. So his shots in the box are down. Half of his shots this season are on target. Now, half of his shots the last 3 games are on target. A third were on target at the beginning. So he doesn't need so many shots in the box because he's getting more accurate. So he's probably frustrated. He's frustrated. He's out there, and when he sees goal, he's going right, and he goes into full lethal Aguero mode. What does that say to me? Well, what's the strategy to get rid of him? There isn't an alternative at the moment, I don't think, but there will be when Harry Kane gets back. When Harry Kane's back, that's what I'm looking at. If Aguero is carrying on being a rubbish midfielder, that's it for me. At the moment, there's no like-for-like swap. You can go Costa, but then you're going to spread the funds, and before you know it, you can't get Aguero back without doing surgery, and that's the fear. You know, we're in this situation when he got suspended, and it was all about, well, we can do 2 transfers, and then we can bank our transfer and get him back. And we were all, even though we got rid of him, we were already making plans to get him back. And that's it. There might be some out there, and I might be one of them eventually, who goes, okay, I'm going to get rid now.
But in the back of my mind, and in a shelf somewhere, in a drawer somewhere, I'm going to have a plan to get him back. And the thing is, you can only use that 13 million effectively if you spread it around. And if you spread it around, you're going to have to take hits and several transfers to get him back. And I can't really say now that there's not going to be a time where if we sold Aguero, we're going to need him back because he's going to be on fire. That seems unlikely. He's still playing in this City team, which we think is still probably going to be the best attacking side in the league. Okay, it could be Liverpool, but if it isn't going to be Liverpool, it probably is going to be City, maybe Arsenal. But he's playing up front in that team. We talked about differentiators post. It was a really good one because he said he looked at the base level, he looked at the upside, he looked at the worst case scenario, and he kind of said that even the worst case scenario was very, very unlikely, 10 to 15 goals, but even at the base level at 20 goals, it will still almost justify that 13 million. I think the key is the captaincy, though, because for me, he's important to us and he's worth that money because he's a captain choice. At the moment, we haven't got the confidence to go to him. It's just whether or not he'll get back to that point. Granville, do you see him being a captain for you in the future weeks?
Well, I haven't captained him actually for a few weeks now. I've gone elsewhere for one reason or another. I don't see the need actually. I think if you're going to do anything, keep him. But if you're going to do anything with him, just don't captain him. If you are that concerned about his output and his playing time, I don't understand what's happened to City actually since the Spurs game. They've obviously gone backwards a little bit. Maybe Pep's over managing or something. I don't know because they were so good at the beginning of the season. It just looked like a different team. But we thought it was going to be difficult, didn't we, against Southampton, and it proved to be.
Yeah, I mean, they've had hard fixtures. They've had Spurs, Everton and Southampton, three very good defences, probably in the top 5 defences at the moment. So you'd expect some aggression. I have noticed, I looked at Man City's team stats, and it's almost as if Pep's gone, we're conceding too many goals, because defensively they've conceded less opportunities and they've tightened up, but in terms of goal threat, that's reduced as a result of that. So I think he has tinkered. I think he has, and I think maybe that has meant a change in role to Aguero. And I think the quotes he made before the international break was something aligned to that. So I think there is problems there. And they need Silva and De Bruyne both on the pitch, and they're struggling to get that at the moment. So I don't know. I'm nervous about selling him at the moment. If there was a replacement, like Jonty says, if we could go to Kane and Kane was scoring goals, I think fair enough, because then I can probably get Aguero back in a couple of transfers. But if I go to Costa, I'm going to probably spend the rest on 3 or 4 players elsewhere, and then getting him back is going to be an absolute nightmare. And I don't think he's out. I don't think he's going to be out for the season in terms of being an effective captain. So for me, I'm keeping for now. But it can change so quickly. Last week, I sat here and said, there's no way Harry Kane's going to get in our team. Remember we said that. We said, what's going to happen that will possibly have us consider Zlatan or Harry Kane? And a week later, suddenly people are looking at that, looking at Harry Kane.
It's going to take. We say it's going to take a little bit more than just getting dropped against Barcelona and having a tough game against a good Southampton defence. It's when he starts, it's when he starts not delivering against the likes of Stoke and Hull, or not starting, that we will consider our options with him.
Yeah, I think if he's got European games and he's got the international break as well, so there's a testing period in terms of his minutes. If he doesn't come through that with regular starts, then I think there's going to be panic. At the moment, it's only a mild panic. Jonty, next question.
Yeah, well, this follows on captaincy. So, time to look elsewhere. If we can't trust Aguero, where do we go? So, Lord Pyatt asks, is it time to look elsewhere? Ignore poll favourites, captain poll favourites like Aguero. And indeed, Ibrahimovic, still popular amongst a lot of players. Mike Harborough asks, is it time for a differential captain? And Paolo Di Canio asks, is Lukaku a great pick for game week 10? And then Burton Bantosaurus Rex asks about Walcott as he usurped Sanchez as the must-have Arsenal. I said I'll link that in there because you're thinking about captaincy. So if Arsenal got a good fixture, is actually Walcott better than Sanchez? One thing I've done to kind of answer this is look at goal involvement. And I also had a little look. It's something I'm going to put up a hot topic about a bit later in the week, possibly tomorrow, about double-digit kings, those that are scoring double digits frequently. Lots of midfielders are, hardly any forwards are. So I think midfielders are still the best bet. But goal involvement is where it's at. And I think people should start considering other things. I certainly am. I'll put top of my list for goal involvement is Chadley. So if we think West Brom are going to score and they've got an easy game, Captain Chadley. I mean, that's pretty much nailed on. He's going to do something.
It's just
Austin as well. Austin has got Hull in game week 11. Austin captain looks pretty good to me.
This is it. It's strange because we're so used to playing with one or two captains in mind, and we just alternate them for the easiest fixtures. Now all of a sudden, typical of this season, we've got all this choice that's coming into play, and suddenly, I've stuck with Sanchez the last couple of weeks, and he's done very little for me. And I'm looking at him again probably this week for the third week running because I think Sunderland away, good fixture. I think he's top of the poll, isn't he, with Walcott? Maybe I should be braver than that. So it's difficult, isn't it? Aguero being in the form he's in is suddenly forcing us to now consider the armband of people like Chadley and Austin. But you speak sense. I think there is very much a case for that. I'm in another league with people who are doing just that, and it's not coming off of them every week, but it's coming off of them enough for them to get ahead of me. And I know. I mean, this is it. I mean, Granville, you looked at Payet last week. It worked for you, didn't it?
Yeah, and the week before it worked with Walcott. So I'm actually getting my points from my captains, which is working out okay. And I'm not just going with the the top of the poll. I just felt. I mean, I spoke about this. There were two options really for me this week: Walcott or Payet, and I just went with. I didn't think that Walcott could do it 2 weeks on the run, and that was all it was. It wasn't any. It was just a hunch. Fortunately, it worked out with Payet, but it could have been different, of course.
Yeah, I mean, are you enjoying that? The fact that suddenly you've got this cast of players that you can pick from rather than going straight to Aguero?
Well, everyone can, though. It's looked. I've got Payet in on purpose because I think that he is captaincy material, and he's a good player. Walcott, I could this week. I could go again for someone different, Ibrahimovic, and it sounds an odd thing to do, but Burnley at home, if he doesn't score in that game, then I think it's time to get rid. Well, and I might just double down on him and captain him.
The fact that you're holding Ibrahimovic, there can't be many. I mean, I know there's no one in the top 100 who's got Ibrahimovic, for example. So
really?
You've got no. I mean, it's a big. Well, there wasn't before game week 10 anyway, game week 9, but. It is a big differential for you if you go with the captain. Now, I haven't got that option. I'm probably going to have to look at Sanchez or Walcott again. I mean, Jonty, you got the Arsenal pairing in, so presumably you're going to look at one of those two again.
Well, I am. Well, Walcott's got marginally more goal involvement, and his stats are better than Sanchez. For me, at the moment, I'm looking at either Walcott, possibly Sanchez. It all depends on whether Cazorla's playing. Basically, Sunderland are there for the taking, so I'm quite happy that Arsenal are going to score. They're not Middlesbrough. So Sanchez or Walcott will do something. But I'm actually Lukaku, I'm kind of thinking of. Against West Ham at home, 66% goal involvement. There's a 2/3 chance, because this is what fantasy football is all about. It's narrowing down the odds. And it's a 2/3 chance that if Everton score against West Ham, which we think they will, Lukaku's going to be somewhere around that.
Goal involvement, your new favourite stat, Jonty. Fair enough. I mean, Payet, you can't beat Payet's goal involvement, can you, in terms of West Ham? I think he's been involved in 6 of the last 7 goals. So, it does matter if you think a team's going to win a match. So, it's just whether we can rely on Everton, because, I don't know.
Yeah, it's just a goal. They haven't really been scoring that many goals. I know Lukaku's been involved in all of them, pretty much all of them, but Everton aren't scoring that many. Now they're West Ham, to be honest with you. And neither are United. So where do you go? Where do you go for your goals? Probably Arsenal away to Sunderland.
It is one of
those, 12th. Sorry,
it's a real test this season. Yeah. It's just another one of the puzzles that's being thrown our way.
And of course, Arsenal are playing the early game, which is a bit worrying because you don't do anything, it can mess up your whole game week.
Yeah, that is a factor that I really don't like. That having my captain in the early game, I don't know why. But it just doesn't appeal to me. But I think that's going to be the case. But we'll see. Stoke City. Maybe we go to Stoke City, Jonty.
Well, yeah, overrated. Is a Stoke option vital at this point? Which is the better pick? Alan Arnautovic or Shaqiri, the hero of last week? Well, I mean, basically it's going to come down to money, a lot of these things. First things first, as we said last week, Alan is not Capoue. Alan does more attacking-wise. In the last 4 game weeks, he's had 7 shots on target. That's more than any other Stoke player. He's had 9 shots in the box. He's created 5 chances. This is not Capoue. So Alan is a good option. He's a very good option, and he's very cheap. Arnautovic, I'm a bit unsure of, because he's only had a couple of shots on target in the last 4 game weeks, and that's not the Arnautovic that we know from last season. And Shaqiri is turning into a better player than he was last season. 3 shots on target. He does shoot from range. So you've got a range there. They're all slightly different prices, all between the 5.5 and 7 million. A lot of it is going to depend on personal preference there. But Shaqiri, you're getting someone who's involved a lot. He's involved in corners, crosses, set pieces, and he shoots from range.
The thing for me though is I talked about Alan, a few weeks ago, and I just don't see the role for him. That's it. Are you going to get him in as a fourth midfielder, or are you going to play 3-5-2?
That's the thing. That's the thing. If you get Alan in, you commit yourself to something like I did with Jason Punchin as a fourth midfielder. You commit yourself to a cheap fourth midfielder, and I've been down that route. I'm not sure I want to do it again.
Thing is, I think all you're doing really is you're looking at Capoue and thinking, well, he's going down in price. Shall I swap him for somebody else? I can only see him as a fifth midfielder, actually, Joe Allen. And I'd never ever considered having him in my team at all up until maybe in the last couple of weeks. I'm still not going to go there. I'm not sure even with Shaqiri, but I think he's quite brittle. He misses a lot of games, and he can go a number of games without doing anything. Can you rely on Stoke to score goals? This is
it. I think at the moment midfield is where you need to get it right, and there are so many big hitting players delivering double figures there. That's where you really can't afford to make a mistake or invest in a player and go, I'll give him 2 or 3 weeks, because you're missing out on big points. Yeah. Ironically, it's up front where you can afford to do that. I can afford to look at Defoe and get rid of him and get Callum Wilson in for a couple of weeks, and if it doesn't come off, my midfielder carrying me. But I just don't think you can do it with a 4th or 5th midfield right now. Or maybe the 5th, but not the 4th midfielder. That position is just too precious to us, because I don't think, we can't afford to take money out of midfield to invest in defence, so we can't really play more than 3 at the back. We wouldn't normally anyway. So I think they're a gamble. I mean, I'd like to be brave enough. The only one that I'm looking at in future game weeks, and I know, Jonty, you're going to concur with this, is Sigurdsson, because I think we've got that Swansea fixture list coming up where I might suddenly look at getting Sterling out maybe, or even Sanchez, and going for Sigurdsson, because we know what he can do over a series of games.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at Sigurdsson long term. I'm also looking at Chadley, actually. West Brom got some great fixtures. Man City concede. I mean, I even think Chadley's going to do well in the so-called bad fixtures. He did score against Spurs, after all. And Man City are conceding. They're always conceding. And as we've seen, if we think West Brom are going to score, and I think they are, I think Chadley's going to score. So I think anyone getting Chadley in is going to do well this week. Plus, they've got a player who, in a few games, well, actually 2 or 3 game weeks' time. So it was like Granville was saying about being player like me having to play catch up. I'm behind. If I got Chadley in, I'm essentially looking at a bit in the future there. Sigurdsson, another player I like. I could get Arnautovic in as a kind of a placeholder for Chadley or Sigurdsson. But I think if I go, the things that I was mentioning, if we go Alan, Shaqiri, if you go for that 5-6 million, you're committing to that, and you're missing out on these 7. And Chadley's going to be 7 million soon.
See, I think that's okay if our forwards are delivering. I think it would be a nice scenario to have 3 forwards are delivering, 3 midfielders are delivering, and you can just shuffle the 4th midfielder out with fixtures and form.
Yeah,
but right now, it's all about the midfield. That's where we're turning to for reliability.
Well,
you can't look at the strikers.
And also, if Aguero carries on as he's doing in his current form, and I mean, it took me ages to get rid of Ibrahimovic. If he doesn't do it this weekend, there's going to be a few more that leave Ibrahimovic. But how long is it going to take for people to get rid of Aguero? It's going to take ages.
This is the worry.
So we're going to be sitting there with 13 million. So we're going to need a midfielder to pep up. What I was let down this week is my 4th midfielder was Jason Punchin. The lad didn't even play.
Well, I hate to say it, I knocked the little figure over.
Well, that's it. You were there. You're in your giant white hat and tails like Live and Let Die Voodoo Witch Doctor, stabbing him on the ground.
He's currently laying prone on my shelves.
Yeah. Are we going to mention how Mark took advantage of a player not playing? Now, Mark didn't play, did he? And you had Macaulay coming on.
Yeah, that was pure squad management again. I've got to say that I did in the morning. I had Capoue first sub. I thought, no, that's no good. I need Macaulay first sub. Only because I thought I was really in 2 minds about playing a Matt or Holebas. I was like, well, I've got to play Holebas because I bought him. And Matt, don't know. It's not going to be. I thought it's not going to be 0-0, is it? So I was really tempted to play Macaulay because of the goal threat. And that's why I made him first sub, and it came in. It was very fortunate. I mean,
it could be a problem. It could be a problem though, Matt, if he doesn't start playing. And there's your 4 million. Everyone's got him because he's 4 million. Well, he has been guaranteed to start for the whole of the season. But now that he might not be starting, we're going to have to look at swapping a 4 million player. And normally you have to go upwards. You have to spend more than 4 million to get a player.
You definitely do. And talking of which,
we could go to Kingsley actually because he seems
to be. He's 4-1 as well. But I don't know. I mean, Bob Bradley upset. I mean, to drop Matt and Fur in, that was strange. That was like, I think he's best defender, and Fur's got him 4 goals. Well, not him, but got Gordon 4 goals. So very odd. We'll see. But I don't know if he just wanted to shake it up, and whether that is his first choice 11 or whether he's going to change it again. Don't know. We'll have to see. Defenders is a subject of many questions, Jonty.
Well, yeah, because suddenly Walker, Koscielny, etc., they're all doing well. And a player I like, I've been putting him in the scout squad picks for the last 2 weeks, Alonso. So Hasselbank forever asks, which 2 teams should we be looking at for our heavy hitter defenders? FPL Virgin asks, who will have the most clean sheets at the end of the season? Rhinos, is there a case for premium defence? And it goes on. And Mufasa asks about Alonso. I mean, yeah, they are all good. What was the difference between another difference between me and those that got an average score or above last game week was they had Koscielny or Walker. They had a kind of premium defender who they could be relied on to get 6-7 points. Who do I think people should get in? Possibly not just yet, but Alonso. Goal attempts in the last 3 game weeks. This is the 3 game weeks he's been playing as the wing back role. 6 goal attempts from him. 4 in the box. He's creating chances as well. Top there for goal attempts for defenders last 3 game weeks. 5.9. He's only going to go one way price wise, I think. I think. I mean, I've got Van Aanholt. I'm probably going to ditch Van Aanholt this week because I think there's some kind of fitness issue going on there. But he's
ability. We don't know.
Well, no, but he's being used as a winger, and he's got 4 goal attempts the last 3 game weeks. He's second to Alonso.
I want him playing against Arsenal for sure. There's no. I want him on that pitch against Arsenal.
Well, the problem is that I don't think he's going to get a clean sheet. I'd probably bench him anyway. So if I'm going to bench him, and he's 5 million, and there's other players out there. But yeah, Alonso would be my pick. But obviously, if you've got the money and you haven't already got Walker or Koscielny or Bellerin, get them in, definitely.
See, I like Adderall, but he's gone and got injured at the moment. But I think he's the one that I would want if I was going to get an expensive defender. But I'm still wary of it because I look at the fixtures and go, yeah, Arsenal, Sunderland, and then they got Tottenham and United, and Tottenham have got Leicester, Arsenal, Chelsea in the next 4, West Ham, another London derby. And I made the point in the preamble at the weekend, it only takes a dodgy soft penalty at a set piece and suddenly the clean sheet's gone. And I had it with Southampton. I got Martina in, home to Burnley, coasting to a clean sheet, dodgy penalty, we've gone. And it's like, that was Martina who's 4-3. If that had happened to me and I'd just bought Alderweireld, I'd be pretty angry. And it can happen a lot this season. Clean sheets are down, penalties are up, defenders aren't coping at set pieces. I think the clean sheet is a harder thing to find this year than ever. It seems that way. So I'm still wary of it, particularly, as I say, again, the midfield is doing so well. Granville, your views on this?
Yeah, well, I've been sat on Walker since, I think, for 5 weeks. He's got me 3 clean sheets and and a couple of bonus points. Now, I've been watching him, actually. During games, when Spurs are keeping clean sheets, he's normally up there as one of the top BPS scorers. So he's bound to pick up bonus points if they don't concede. Him and Alderweireld have obviously been competing, but he's cheaper than Alderweireld. Crucially, he's fit. I think he's worth. I think a lot of people are choosing a premium defender and they're looking at Arsenal or Spurs as the top 2 teams at the minute at the back. I'm actually considering Chelsea player. Now, I did start with John Terry, and he did okay. He got a clean sheet at the start, but then he got himself injured. I've been sat on Williams for the whole season, and he hasn't really done it. He's had a couple of clean sheets, but they've dried up. And the thing is with Williams, and one of the reasons I bought Williams was because of the bonus points. Now, last season, when he was at Swansea, last few seasons when he was at Swansea, he always attracted the bonus points. for some reason at Everton he isn't. I don't know whether his role's changed or just that they've got more players who can get.
Well, it looks like Jagielka is getting more CBI than him, if I'm not mistaken. It seems to be the case.
He hasn't been anywhere near picking up bonus points this season. So I think with that and the fact that he's $5 million is not a bad price for him, but I think I can upgrade him or swap him for someone else who's going to be doing a bit better. And Alonso is the one that I've been looking at. Alonso or one of the Liverpool defenders, maybe Lovren. I think Alonso he's expensive though. I think he's $6 million or he's 5.9. He's an expensive outlay, but I can see Chelsea getting plenty of clean sheets.
Well, now they've changed the system. That looks to be the case. 3 consecutive clean sheets since moving to 3 at the back. And Chelsea have just come alive as a source of fantasy talent, which is great. We love Conte for that. But I don't know. My plan possibly is that Sanchez is going to go eventually. And I will get probably a second Liverpool midfielder. And with that money, then go shopping in defence. And the Liverpool midfielder who I'm looking to get is going to come up in our next question, I think, from FPL Virgin Johnson.
Yeah, is Coutinho the answer to the midfield minefield at Liverpool? Well, he's in FPL points-wise, he's doing the best. But once again, I think it's still up in the air. So having a look at it, looking over the goal threat, all matches. So Firmino, 16 shots inside the box. Mane, 16 shots inside the box. Coutinho, 13 shots inside the box. Lallana from deeper in midfield, 11. They're all still there. Obviously, Lallana's probably in the second tier, and price, reflects that as well. Shots on target, Coutinho. This is where he really comes alive, though. He's had 12.
I think for me it's out of Mane and Coutinho for me. There's the price difference. I've got Firmino already. There's a price difference, but the key for me is Mane is not getting bonus points, and we saw it at the weekend. Coutinho outscored him on the BPS because Mane's losing the ball so often, and that's such a punishing thing in the BPS.
Yeah.
If you've got a player who takes players on, gets tackled, their BPS just tumbles away. And Coutinho, even though he only got the goal and Mane got a goal and assist, still beat him because of the key passes and because he retains possession. He doesn't take players on as much, and when he does have a better ratio of beating them. So, and Coutinho's cheaper. I'm struggling to see beyond him at the moment.
But this is why I got rid of Firmino. I mean, it cost me really dearly because he got moved. But Firmino, as we saw again, if he's in the false 9 role, he's much less effective than Coutinho because he's the guy that lays on the chances. 25 chances. He's creating more chances. It's the others, Mane, Coutinho, who are coming in, Lallana even, they're all coming in, feeding off him. He's like mother hen, and these little chicks coming in.
I like the idea of having both Coutinho and Firmino because for me that's goals and assists,
Yeah, you've got that covered.
Goals, and he's not getting bonus. So I think that's the way I'm going to go. Granville, are you looking at this?
Are you still not looking at Payet? I think I said this last week. Still avoiding even talking about him, I say. And De Bruyne is the other one. Expensive, but someone who is involved in everything that City do. But Payet again is involved in everything that West Ham do. You can argue that they're not going to get as many goals, but I think there's a lot of potential in that West Ham team. Look at them last season. I think they struggled a bit at home. Probably,
their fixtures are absolutely evil coming up. They've got Stoke at home, and then Tottenham, United, Arsenal, Liverpool.
No, I agree. But the next 2, I guess that you're not going to get him in for 2 games, but I'm going to sit on him and then consider my options in a couple of games' time and see who else is out there. But I might start looking at another Liverpool midfielder, Coutinho. I see because there's Coutinho. I've had him a couple of times over the season. He's always sort of let me, he's gone off the boil when I've got him. And maybe because I've got him too late. But maybe he's got a bit more consistency about his game this season. I don't know.
I just think with that Liverpool fixture list, if you look at it from game week 11 onwards, it's so strong. You think if you've got 2 Liverpool midfielders, you can't help but profit. And Mane might chip in, Lallana might chip in, but I think Coutinho is coming into my team for Sanchez, possibly in a couple of game weeks' time, maybe just after the Sunderland game. We'll see, because that will give me the money to then look at my defence. But it much depends on Aguero. I think I'm going to have to bank my transfer and see how it goes. But John, are you looking at Coutinho as well?
Yeah, it's definitely an option. As I said, I've got Sanchez and Walcott. One of those probably for the chop at some point. I think Coutinho is the one. I think he's just proving the most consistent. He might not look like he is. And I think we're a bit hung up from last season where, he scores 2 goals and then nothing for 10 weeks. But, he's still there. And, of course, Liverpool don't have Europe. They don't have all these distractions. That's a massive plus for Chelsea as well.
Yeah, well, we've got a members article coming up on Coutinho this week, so hopefully that will shed some more light on the stats behind it as well. Let's do the weekend preview. Let's get Granville tucked up in bed with his Lemsip. Okay, clean sheets. Granville, we'll let you go first. There's only 3 of us, so it should be easier.
Oh yeah. Who's not scoring well this season? I think it's got to be Watford at home to Hull. There you go. Holebas for another clean sheet.
Yeah, done well, hasn't he? Done well for us.
Yeah, really, really well. It's a shame we didn't have him earlier, though, when he got his 15-pointer.
Yeah, I felt like I was chasing points, but he should. Yeah, I think that's a good clean sheet option. Snodgrass. I mean, how unlucky have Hull been with injuries? Now Snodgrass has gone, Robertson, they lost Dawson. It's just, they're doomed, aren't they? It's very unfortunate. I feel sorry for them, really, because they had so much fight in them at the start, but every time they look like making a revival, they've got nice fixtures now, but they've gone and lost their best player. It's tough for them. Yeah. John T, clean sheets.
Either Manchester United against Burnley or Spurs against Leicester. Let's give Manchester United a bit of love. They deserve it after humiliation last weekend. Manchester United against Burnley.
We're going to have to change things around, though, United, aren't they? Because Bay's now injured. So I presume that Blind is going to go in the centre with Smalling, and Shaw's going to come back in.
It's less my faith in Manchester United and more my faith in Burnley being absolutely appalling away from home. So I can't see them scoring. They'll go there. They'll just put everyone behind the ball.
I think it could be low scoring. I think Burnley
can be 0-0
They've got Heaton in goal, who's just a superhero at the moment. So
what a player! Got him right.
Yeah,
the one thing I've got right this season. Heaton from the off.
I'm going to go with. I might as well go Stoke, 3rd consecutive clean sheet. Let's do that against Swansea. I don't know. I mean, they've got Sigurdsson. Is he going to turn up for false 9 again away from home? Bob Bradley. So many questions he's given us with that 5 changes at the weekend. But I'll go Stoke. I'll go. Tempted to get Eric Peters. That was the plan. But I think I'm going to bank the transfer. But I think Stoke, good bet. Fancy on a risk, Granville. I'm
going to go with. Who was going to go with? Who are Bournemouth playing?
Bournemouth are playing Middlesbrough.
Middlesbrough. Okay, so I can go for one of those. I know Middlesbrough don't score that many goals, which means I can pick anyone. I'm going to go for Stuani because he seems to be getting the odd goal here and there. And I think Bournemouth away from home are struggling this season.
Good form, though. They're in good form. Confident, Bournemouth. That's a brave pitch. Stuani was...
Away from home, they've just... I mean, like, you just look through the whole season, they've let in lots and lots of goals. So I think anyone can score against them. I think they're going to score as well.
See, I'm going for a Borough player as well. I'm going to go for that Adama Traore, who looked like incredible, didn't he? It was like he was in a video game against Arsenal. His pace and power is just phenomenal. And I said in this much we know, Karanka's just got to build the team around him. He's going to give the ball away a lot, and
he won't get the bonus points. He'll lose them because of his.
Not everything he does will come off. It'll be pretty random playing with him in the team, but he's just that ridiculously fast, ridiculously strong, and I think he's going to make things happen for him. So I've got my eye on him. He's 4'8" as well, another player in that bracket. So I'm going to go Traore. John T, your fancy on this?
I'm going to go Chadley. Now I know he's a form player.
Allowed to have him.
The reason is because he's playing Man City.
Man
City, one of the worst defences in the league.
Yeah, well, Man City concede. Yeah, Man City concede. But on paper, West Brom against Man City, that's surely a Man City victory, you would think. But I think Chadley is a good player because people won't think of getting him in this week. I don't think because of that fixture. They'll see that. And they won't like the look of that. But I think he's quite good.
He's got some good games to come. He's got Burnley.
I'm seriously considering getting him in, as we'll come to.
Yeah.
He's got some good fixtures to come, definitely, Chadley, as well. So getting him in now might not be silly. Yeah, I see. Okay, all right. Transfers and captains. I'm going to bank my transfer, start you off, I think, because I was going to go Peters in, but now the Aguero situation, I want to have 2 transfers next week because I might want to make 3 and spend 4 points. I don't mind taking a hit when I've got 3 transfers. It feels like you're more likely to get that 4 points back if you make 3 changes. So I haven't done it yet this season, and I like doing it. So I think this is the one. That means having to play Macaulay against City, but I don't mind that. I think set pieces could be a problem for City, not for the first time. So I'm going to make my transfer. And my captain, I guess it's going to be Sanchez for the third week running, who's got me an assist out of the last couple of times, and that's it. So, but like you said, Sunderland are there for the taking. So, Sanchez and banking for me. Granville, what are you up to?
I'm kind of struggling to see a transfer. I could see transfers, but there's no one really to drop because all my defenders have home games, and I can't see a midfielder. I'm actually struggling who to play over Wilson and Capoue. So I can't see anything that I can do. It's an easy transfer to make, so I might just bank it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I do.
I mean, if the Guerrero doesn't do it again, or your Guerrero doesn't start or whatever, then you're going to want those two transfers.
Even without the start, it's going to take a little bit more than that to sell him. I think my captaincy is probably going to be Ibrahimovic. I'll say I'm not 100% on that, but yeah. Maybe Walcott away to Sunderland. It's a juicy fixture. It's just that initial game, the 12:30 game, puts me off. Shouldn't it? Yeah. Shouldn't make no difference at all, but it's a bit psychological.
It does. Who would have thought Ibra captain would be a maverick move that would raise Jonty's eyebrows? But that's exactly what it did. I saw them go up when you said Ibrahimovic.
No, I was actually looking at some of the comments during the live Scoutcast. Andrew McVitie, lol. So presumably he's 12. Lol. Jonty has lost the plot, bringing Chadley against City. City are terrible at defending, and Chadley scores goals for fun for West Brom. Seems fine to me. He instead thinks I should get Hazard in, who can't do anything away, and Hazard plays away. So clearly, 12-year-old Andrew McVitie knows much more than me.
Well, to be fair, Hazard's doing all right. I mean, he's a player we haven't mentioned tonight.
All his points have been at home. He once again is not doing much away. This could be a turning point. Of course, Southampton, who we all know are shipping goals for fun. Oh, wait a minute, they're not. So is that such a great move? I'm not quite sure that is.
No. Okay. No, but what you're not really going to get Chadley in. What is your transfer going to be? Or are you going to
I've already made one. Collins out for Hollybass. You're happy with that? It's got to be. I mean, it looks like a clean sheet. The way Hull are playing could be goals for Hollybass.
That's booked in. Yeah.
Yeah, that's booked in. I took 2 frees last week, so I didn't. I'm thinking of one, maybe two hits this week.
Okay.
I'm thinking Van Arnholt and Punchin, but I'm not quite sure which one of them is going to go. I don't know which. And I've got Chadley, Arnautovic, Sigurdsson on my watch list. I've got Peters and Alonso, possibly. Not sure.
And your captain?
It's between Walcott in this order. If Cazorla's playing, Walcott, Lukaku, Sanchez.
Okay. If Cavola's playing. See, I think you're enjoying this. I think you actually see this as a challenge now. And you're now thinking about changes and players you've never done before.
The last season was exciting because we had the chips. But I fear they could become boring again. I know I've spoken to you, Mark, about this. And I'd really love to see chips you can only use for the first part. Like the wildcard one. I'd love a triple captaincy or bench boost that you can only use before Christmas. You get pre and post.
So it forces you to play them in a single game.
It forces you. Because what we saw last year, what you predicted it at the beginning, and it happened. All of us lot, we all waited for our wild cards, and I think Granville maybe used his wild card earlier, but a lot of people, we used our wild cards and those chips in combination, and pretty much every single one of us shot up the rankings. I mean, not just shot up, we were like torpedoes.
See, if you remember, I said that was a shame. I almost wanted to fail, but we didn't.
So it was exciting because that was the first time. If that happens again, less exciting. So they need to either change the chips or do what I'm doing, have an absolute nightmare. So
But the thing is, with the chips, I think you're 90 odd points behind me, and even further behind Evs and people like that who are way beyond me. Even so, but I think with the chips, you've still got that. You still think if you can get down to 50 points come January, when the double game week start kicking in, you'll get that back easy. So they do bring the season alive in that respect. In that. You know, 100 points becomes nothing.
So that's the same as last season.
We're just too predictable when people are going to play them.
Exactly. But if you've got a triple captaincy or bench boost that you've got to use before January the 1st, and there's no double game weeks, which there very rarely is the first half of the season. Wow. So you're going to get some people who are going to, well, maybe the captain Stanislas and get 21 points, get 63 points. Maybe they'll captain Aguero and get -1, so they get -3 for triple captaincy. So that's a major game changer. Really exciting.
It's something to think about. But I just think that there's comfort there for you in that, yes, everyone's going to play the chips on double game weeks, but you could get it. Others could get it very wrong. You could get it very right. And if you're behind, even a double game week scenario, you can take a risk with a triple captain, not go Aguero in that window and go somebody else. And this season with more choice, it's a good bet that even in that scenario that we saw last year, there's going to be more candidates available. Whereas last year, we kind of knew who we were going to go with. We knew who we were going to get in. Whereas I think even if we get a repeat, it's going to be better this year because of the choice we've got. Maybe it'll all dry up. Maybe we'll all be sitting with a template. But it seems every week that isn't the case. And look at us now. 7 days on, we're talking about getting rid of a fit Aguero, which just seems crazy. Talking of match fitness, Granville is not match fit, so we ought to bring this to a close so Granville can tuck himself up. Thank you very much for bearing with us, Granville, and getting through this. I don't know, Jonty, do you reckon he'd have turned up had he came bottom of the game week?
No.
I think that had a lot to do with it.
Rubbish.
I'll be here come rain or shine on my deathbed.
You're taking the words out of my mouth. You know, I've been doing this for about 8 years and I haven't had a good season yet.
You're doing well, Granville. You're doing well. It's a good night from me.
Good night.
Good night from me.
Good night, all.